Hey Lang Nerds, welcome to Elang Explained. This video is all about semantic patterning, so let's jump right in. When we're thinking about semantic patterning, it's important to remember that this is patterning or repetition of language features from the field of semantics. And the easiest way to remember all of the different types of semantic patterning is through using the mnemonic POSH FILM app. So when we're talking about semantic patterning, or if you ever see a short answer question that asks you to identify an example of semantic patterning, what it's really asking you about is personification, oxymoron, simile, hyperbole, figurative language, irony, lexical ambiguity, metaphor, animation, and puns. Let's explore what each element of semantic patterning means in a little bit more detail. Personification is up first. And when we're thinking about personification, we're thinking specifically about language features within a text that are used to give human qualities or abilities to a non-human thing. So we're using language here to describe something that isn't human in the way that we would describe it if it was human. So we might say, for example, the plants are crying out on this hot day. Now, plants aren't literally crying out, but they might be desperate for some water or look like they're desperate for some water. And here, using this personification will allow the author to more clearly explain how the plants appear to their audience. Then we've got oxymorons. And these are phrases that combine two contradictory ideas, often to enhance our description of a particular event or idea. So we have the example, when the question she'd been dreading was asked, Simile felt a heavy lightness. And here we've got that oxymoron, heavy lightness. And Simile's feeling of a heavy lightness is heavy because it's the question she's been dreading, but it's also a light feeling because it's a question that she's prepared for already. And so here, this oxymoron allows us, through these contradictory ideas, to present two key emotions that one person is feeling at the same time, and highlight the fact that Simile is feeling not great, but also great about this interview question at the same time. Next up, we've got similes. And similes provide a comparison between two things, and they always use like or as. So our example here, we've got Chandra is as brave as a lion. And so take a moment, have a think. What does it mean if we compare someone to a lion? Here we might be saying that Chandra is brave, confident, or here we might be saying that she is strong and powerful. And this is in contrast to a simile like Sarah is as quiet as a mouse, where our comparison here allows the author to conjure the image that Sarah is so quiet that she's like a little mouse that is a little bit shy, is a little bit reserved, and isn't someone in this moment who would be heard over a crowd. Then we've got hyperboles, and these are our dramatic exaggerations, where often our authors, our writers, our speakers, our interlocutors our language users are intending to be funny or comedic. Hyperboles dramatically exaggerate an idea. So we've got an example like, I'm so tired that I could sleep for 100 years. When we think about the effect of this hyperbole, this is allowing our writer to exaggerate just how tired they are. Because they're not literally saying that they want to sleep for the next 100 years, but they're comparing their level of tiredness to the level of tiredness that someone who sleeps for a really, really long time would experience. Then we've got figurative language. And figurative language is a really interesting element within semantic patterning, because figurative language refers to any sort of language that is deliberately used to enhance a non-literal description. But our examples of figurative language techniques include things like personification, oxymorons, similes, hyperboles, animation, metaphors, the kind of language features that we're discussing for our other elements of semantic patterning. And so this gives us an opportunity to make a really strategic choice. Because if you ever see a short answer question, or you're trying to write an AC or analyze an essay example, and you know that there is some figurative language in the example because you can see that use of a non-literal connotation or description, but you actually can't remember which part of semantic patterning this language feature falls into, then you can absolutely label it as figurative language and still be marked correctly. So make some strategic choices out there. And when we're identifying examples of semantic patterning, if you recognize a language feature and you know, for example, that it's a simile, label it a simile. But if you recognize that language feature as some semantic patterning and you're certain that it's figurative language, but you can't remember if it's a simile or a metaphor, then the strategic choice might be to label this language feature as figurative language. Then we've got irony. And language features are ironic when a speaker or a writer uses language, but intends the audience to understand a contradictory meaning. So we see irony lots in text and lots in TV shows where we have our main character leaving the house and saying, "What lovely weather." And then our camera pans up and we realize suddenly that there are lots of storm clouds in the sky. And this is ironic because we as the audience understand that this lovely weather that the character is experiencing isn't going to last forever and that very soon it's going to be stormy. It's also ironic if after someone finishes maybe an English language short answer paper and they don't feel very confident, they turn to their friend and say, "That was the best paper I've ever done in my life." And their friend, the audience, understands a contradictory meaning that actually, even though they're saying this is the best paper they've ever done, perhaps they're not feeling as confident as they could be. Then we have lexical ambiguity. And lexical ambiguity is used in a text. Lexical ambiguity can be identified in a text where we've got words or a phrase that have multiple possible meanings. And we have to, as linguists, use context clues in the text to figure out which meaning is actually intended to be understood. So we've got the sentence, for example, "I shot the elephant in my pajamas." And I really like using this example for lexical ambiguity because there are two elements of lexical ambiguity here. The first is with the verb shot. So this can be understood in two ways. There's shot, first of all, with a weapon, but there's also shot with a camera. Our second element of lexical ambiguity in this sentence is the idea of this elephant in my pajamas. And so my question for you is, when you heard this sentence, did you think that I was in my pajamas when I saw the elephant, or that this elephant had somehow put on my pajamas? We've also got another example. The punch made Sam unsteady on their feet. Where here, the punch could be a physical act of hitting someone, but it also might be punch the drink that's making Sam feel a little bit unsteady. Then we've got a metaphor. And metaphors, like similes, compare two things. But unlike similes, they don't use like or as. So we've got our example. Your words are a sharp knife. And here we're comparing the directness, the force of someone's words, to a sharp knife that can be very dangerous, harmful, and hurtful. We've also got the class had forgotten the gathering storm of assessments. There should be that instead of then. Where gathering storm allows the author to directly compare the amount of assessments that are coming for this class to the idea of dark grey storm clouds that can appear very threatening on the horizon. Next up, we have animation. And this is when we're using language to give life or movement to inanimate objects, ideas, or places. So we've got, for example, the wind howled through the trees. Where howling is something that humans and animals will often do, but the wind as an inanimate object isn't able to. It doesn't have a mouth. Where a mountain cannot really be lonely, it can't experience feelings, but when we animate the mountain, we're adding that extra descriptive element to make our description of this mountain much clearer and much more evocative for the audience. Lastly, we have puns, and these are plays on the meanings of different words. And they're often designed to be funny, even though sometimes puns aren't the funniest things that we can possibly think of. So I've put two of my favorite puns here. You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish. And this is funny because it's playing on that double meaning of tune here. So we've got tuning a guitar and tune a fish. You'll notice here I'm deliberately pausing because I'm sure all you Elang Explained listeners have found this so funny you are literally laughing out loud. And then we've got inspecting mirrors is a job I could see myself doing, playing on that double meaning of see. Because of course you can literally see yourself in a mirror, but also if you can see yourself doing a job, it means that that's a job that you could imagine or envisage yourself doing in the future. Those are all of the elements of semantic patterning. And so when we think about semantic patterning, make sure you always remember that mnemonic, POSH FILM AP. In terms of the effect of using semantic patterning, you've probably heard me already in this video talk about these 4 key ideas. That semantic patterning is used to enhance the description of a key specific idea within a text. It's used to create a comparison that might make a big idea within the text more accessible to the audience, but this comparison might also emphasize a key idea within the text and make that idea stand out more to the audience. Use of semantic patterning can also tell us a lot about the person who is using this language. And so the types of ideas that we compare from metaphors or similes, the types of hyperboles that are used, might also reinforce the values, beliefs, or identity of an author and reveal something about how they are deliberately using language to signal something about themselves to the audience. And lastly, semantic patterning can also be used to reflect the register of the text. Because of course, like all types of subsystem patterning, semantic patterning is a language feature that can reflect both informality or formality. But that's all we have time for today. So be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time for more eLang Explained.